Good morning. Good morning. It's another beautiful week in Startup Paradise. So I'm going to give it a few minutes as usual. I'll just ramble on at the beginning with lots of startup stuff in no particular order. And then after that, we're going to talk about some really important things. Okay. So we should be joined with our people in the growth community. We should be joined with folks on LinkedIn. Hopefully, we got some folks on YouTube in here as well. We've got lots. I think what I love about this platform is it's so dingity dang versatile. And so we can get out to lots of folks. What's slightly more challenging is it's very hard to see. So I don't get to see like everybody there, and I know who you are and where you are. And I think as we go through this, I'll try and work out how to become a little bit better at that, because I feel like there must be a place that I can get a little bit of an idea as to where you are. But without further ado, it is 8:31. It is Monday morning. It is Pacific Standard Time, and I am here in Southern California in Santa Monica. A little bit of overview, if any of you are first-time watchers, and then we're going to dig straight in. So at Expert Dojo, we've invested in hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of companies, about almost 300 now to be exact. And I love companies, and I love the market, and I love what's happening in the market. And because we get to invest in so many companies, and because I'm so deeply involved, because I have serious obsessive issues, I have this amazing, I suppose, luck of being able to pattern match with everything that's happening. So on these Monday morning calls, I come to you with pretty much everything that I've seen that's relevant and important to either your growth or you getting investment that I've seen within our portfolio companies from the previous week, right? And sometimes I'll come to you with areas, and actually, let me even make it even easier for you. I believe there are only 4 reasons why any startup fails. There's only 4. There's never any more than 4. And money is not one of the reasons, right? The first reason is outreach. The vast majority of founders do not outreach enough. And what does outreach enough means? Well, it's just math. It's like nothing else other than math. If you know that your Series A is $200,000 a month, which is, let's say it's $1,000 per month per customer, that's 200 customers. Well, you have to get from 5 customers or 10 customers or 0 customers to 200 customers. So how many meetings do you need to have to get to the 10 one month, the 12 the next month, the 20 the next month, the 40 the next month? Like, how many meetings do you need to have to get that trajectory to get to a Series A within 2-3 years? Because if it's longer than 2-3 years, investors are not going to be interested in you. You understand? The problem is not that you can't get the investment. The problem is the investors don't believe that you can make it to Series A in time. So outreach, the meetings and the prospects that will give you the sales have to equal the outreach that is required. Number 2 is the optimization and the conversion. So it's the same thing. So you're outreaching, you're doing an amazing job. You realize that to close 3 of those customers and get the right amount of demos, the right amount of meetings, the right amount of sales, you understand that actually you need to have, we'll say 50 or 500 companies you reach out to. Well, now you want to make sure that the messaging is right for those companies. And that messaging ties into brand, personal brand, it ties into purpose, it ties into vision, it ties into all that kind of stuff. And again, some weeks when I'm out in the field and when I'm working with founders, I see like real issues within those areas, and I like come back to it and I'm like, okay, you need to do this, because if you don't, you are not going to get investment, because you're going to be held back, not because you're not outreaching, but because your messaging is bad. And third is the systems. I put systems in there because it's not vital at the very, very beginning, but the closer you get to Series A, you are doomed without systems. And again, we'll look at like systems that are good and systems that are bad as we go through this. And the final thing is lovable products. Lovable product is not minimum viable product. It is so much better. We hate minimum viable products. We love lovable products. Always build lovable products. So, and we'll talk about how you actually build out a lovable product. So look, they're the 4 areas. I'm always going to come back to those areas. If some of the symptoms that I see are such as raising investment, such as team, such as an environment, and those are the types of things that are around you, then I'll bring those into the talk as well. Okay, so there's the underbelly of what we're going to talk about. So saying all of that, what happened last week? Well, a lot, actually. We went down to Miami. We brought one of our companies down to Miami, M80. M80 are going to be doing a token later on this year, but in the meantime, they're going to be building a Series A round. And those guys are doing incredible. Esports org, who have got multiple esports teams. Anyway, we brought them to Miami. It was very nice. We created a event down there with some of the top influencers and thought leaders in Miami, so that we could raise them around. And I'm pretty sure that we'll raise like 1.5 million within 5 days. I'm pretty sure. I can't imagine it will take longer than that. And I'm pretty sure that when they end up doing a token, that will do really well too. But the 1.5 million is kind of the more interesting part. Is like, why would Brian think that it's that easy to raise $1.5 million when actually I, as a founder, are finding it really difficult to be able to raise money myself? So I was in Miami. During there, I would normally have talked about that, but I find it less interesting than the piece that I want to talk about today. And the piece that I want to talk about today is I want to talk about messaging. And then I'm going to bring my good friend Jack's calendar up. Let's make sure nobody's telling me that they can't get in. No, we're okay. And so I want to bring up my good friend Jack's deck. And then I want to be particularly brutal with that deck, with Jack's permission. And I want to talk a little bit about how you emotionally resonate. Now, saying all of that, I need to work out, how do I share a slide? Oh, here we go. Share screen. Okay, cool. So here's what I want to share with you. One of our companies that I met with in Miami is a company that Expert Dojo have invested into. It's a phenomenal company. And when we sat down, I knew his outreach was incredible. They already have about 150 accountants that are using them. This company provide incredible software that goes into accountants that allows them to increase their productivity, allows them to do less with a heck of a lot more for a very, very small payment. It's almost embarrassing how small the payment is. Chris came in, sat down, we looked through the platform that he had, and we spent a huge amount of time in that second field that I spoke about. And that second field is all about the emotional resonance with the customer. And so rather than me just talk about something, go through some kind of random presentation, I want to bring you like real life examples. I would like if you gave some feedback, because then that founder would feel like this has been useful for him as well. But I want to give you some real life examples of kind of what happened. And I felt like we came to a really good breakthrough on the messaging inside this. Now, I want you, as you're watching this, and remember, it doesn't matter which of these 4 areas I speak about, each of them will increase your sales, period. Whether I'm right or wrong about my specific methodology for going after them is irrelevant. More outreach, better emotional resonance, better systems so that you can capture what's being said and what's being done so you can grow on top of it and not let it fall between the cracks, and have a product that your client doesn't hate is just a guarantee to growing a phenomenal business, okay? And so let me bring this up. I am just going to bring up their I am just going to bring up their website, okay? So hopefully you can see this, and hopefully you can speak Spanish. So I really mean it. Hopefully you can speak Spanish. But if you can't speak Spanish, it's okay, because I'm going to translate it for you and show off a little bit with my mediocre knowledge of Spanish. So this company, and Contador is accountant. And he actually, it's really funny, he changed this from Friday. So on Friday, what this pretty much said is, we have produced a MAI and ML, which allows you to be able to dig into the innermost part of your accounting infrastructure so that you are able to build better spreadsheets for your customers and give them a better service. Literally, I think I probably got 80% of that correct for what it said last night, even though he's stolen my thunder away from me, right? That's what it said. And so in the first 30 seconds, it was the closest I came to crying. And that's because no accountant in the world wants that. You ever seen an accountant wake up in the morning and say, you know what I really want today? I want some AI. That would be sweet. How about some ML in my business? Wow, that machine learning stuff is just killer. The first thing I want to do today is give up my $300 to $400 an hour that I charge unwitting and innocent bystanders. I want to give that up so I can spend and waste my time learning about AI and ML. I do not care. Nobody cares. And this is the tragedy of startup, is that many, this is actually, it's what drives me fucking nuts when I hear people say, well, yeah, we died because we didn't have enough investment. It's like, shame on you. You did not die because you didn't have enough investment unless you're OpenAI, right? You died because you were not able to emotionally resonate with enough companies that they loved you. Your product wasn't able to drive enough value so that they loved you. You didn't outreach to enough people who could love you, and you didn't have the systems to do it. So when you don't, so we changed it entirely, and this is his first look back. I know he's going to send me an email in like 2 or 3 days. So what this says is Eres Contador, which is, are you an accountant? Now it says down here, this is the complete, perfect accounting package. And don't be judging me if there's any people here who speak Spanish, okay? And then underneath that it says, you don't have to learn a new system, a new accounting system. Just correct the balances and the calculations and general reports automatically for your clients in your dispatcher, your office. So like, this is actually quite good. He's really improved here. So it's still not emotionally resonating with me, but at least it's speaking to benefits. Now, for people who have been with me on this journey before, you know how I am with building brands. You know, you have to go to product attributes first, and then immediately, and your product attributes are exactly what it was before. It's ML, it's AI, it's the fact that you're able to like use automated software to be able to get a better outcome. But the automated software is the feature attributes. But everybody wants to go to, nobody wants to stay at feature attributes because that's the elephant's graveyard of startup. Everyone wants to go to making sure that you have an emotional resonance through a benefit. And that emotional resonance through a benefit is the bridge. It is not the destination. It is the bridge to transformative value. Now, on number 2 here, and by the way, I don't even know why it says number 2. Like, why does it say number 2? There's no number 1. Doesn't there have to be a number 1 first? Okay, and now I'm going to start getting brutal again. Honest to God, if I see any more photo stock, seriously, we're raising millions of dollars. Can't we spend like $20 or take a photo ourselves or like do something that's better than just free photo stock? This is horrible. First, he looks miserable. I don't know what it is about suit and ties. It brings me back. I get depressed. And down here, I wanted to keep this here just for a moment because look, this says bienvenido a Contrayuda. So welcome to Contrayuda. If you need any response to this message, then we're online to help you. That's nice. I actually like these in here. I think it's really good to have it. If you want to speak with an agent, just speak to an agent. So what they have here is they built in you want to text back. There's probably somebody somewhere. Not paid very much, you'll text back. And if you want to speak to an agent, I'm sure it routes it directly to the person. Very smart. Okay, 10 out of 10 for that. I'm going to close it just so we can see the site properly. 0 out of 10, I don't know what this is. Like it's a sheet with 63,000, 09121. I have no frigging clue what that is. What's that trying to tell me? It's like an accountant uses a spreadsheet. God bless you. It's no use to me. It's probably the software. It's still no friggin' use to me because it's telling me nothing. Here we go. This is number 1. Get your productivity with our artificial intelligence. Oh, I'm going to kill him. Reduce 90. Okay, but this is good. Reduce by 95% the time it takes to do taxes. Why don't we just say that on the top of the page? Why don't we just say that here? And so I'll tell you where we got to with this. And it's like, and with the result of our AI fiscal code. Okay, fine. And then so it goes down here. And then we're talking about, from 50 pesos a month. So it's pretty inexpensive to take the package. That's what they're saying down here. And then in the very bottom, we have companies who've used them. Now, If I click on this and it goes through to a message, which is talking about how amazing Kanta Yuta are, then boom, these guys are rock stars because they satisfied my proof of life. If I do not, I'm going to be very sad. It's still better than no hand, but let's see where it goes because I honestly have no clue. So this is taking a long time to share. I don't know if it's taking a long time to share because of me. No. Okay. So look, like here, by the way, this is the difference between a site thought through and not thought through. I get through to this site, which is PKF. Immediately, Google are offering me the opportunity to be able to turn it into Spanish. Now, I think you can still see it, but even if you can't, like the fact that on the other one, I'm not able to, nothing is offering me the opportunity to turn it into English, says that they haven't thought that through. So this is like 5 out of 10, maybe 4 out of 10, because there's 3 of them here. There's 3 companies here, and I know nothing about what they say. So let's score it, and then let's try and come up with a solution for it. So are you an accountant? It's okay. It tells me like who the page should be for. I don't hate that at all. I find it kind of cute. I would like to have seen them say the piece here, which is hidden in there somewhere, like your office 100% digital. I don't think any accountant in the world wants 100% digital office. But I do think the whole thing about saving 95% on preparing taxes is huge. I actually think it's so huge that I would put it on the top of the page. And so 2 out of 10 for that. Emotional resonance, 0 out of 10. Nada, nada, nada. Maybe 1, maybe a half, but almost 0. You know what you got to do. We're in a trustless world. Nobody trusts us. Let me get off this and come back. Okay. Nobody trusts us. Nobody trusts you. Nobody trusts me. Nobody trusts anybody. Hell, our own families don't even trust us. So why the heck would we create a website which has got no trust on it whatsoever? So my thoughts on the pages. Number 1, this is for accountants who hate accounting. Most accountants hate spending the entire day doing menial tasks. Can you imagine what it's like working with schmucks like me all day long, fixing all of the terrible mistakes that I make in my accounting? Like literally, I think I'm the worst, but I'm probably not. There's probably some of you out there who are worse. And some poor professional who spent like 7 years building through their degrees and becoming like the very best that they can in their space has to deal with my amateur hour every single minute of the day. God bless them, right? I know nobody's ever said that about accountants before, but really I feel for them in this moment. So what they're doing is they're saving these accountants all this mundane, horrible work. What do accountants love doing? They love having the end result where they can show that they saved their clients X amount of money in tax, that they helped them by Y amount. So you need to create a site to say, this is not for you if you love just doing boring, mundane accounting tasks. Remember, your avatar is not everybody. Your avatar is just some folks who need you more than other people. And then it becomes everybody, or at least more people in the future as you expand it out. But at the beginning, it's just for those few people. So it has to speak to just a couple of folks you've got there. It's for accountants who hate accounting. It's for accountants who want to spend all of their time telling their clients how much tax they've saved them and not working on the tax itself. It's for accountants who want to bill more doing less. It's for accountants who want their clients to get a better result because there are more tools getting the task better. You understand? That's who it's for. The other thing we did, which was really important, so you get this, right? Ash, we got any feedback?
Yeah, people are saying that, like, are you sharing the screen by any chance?
No, I stopped sharing the screen
Yeah,
just
cool.
there.
So they were worried about like they are not seeing the deck.
Yeah, okay. Oh, thank you for watching. Thank you for watching. It's good.
And they were also missing in the background.
I can't tell. Okay, so I want to go into another point which that company was super useful on, but I want to pause for a moment because, like I said, this isn't a deck. It's not a presentation. This is one of our best companies. And like within the messaging, it's really hard. Like, it's really hard for all of you, but there are simple fundamental rules which I'm encouraging everybody to follow. Build emotional resonance with your customer. Build trust with your customer. Put testimonials up on the page so you show your customer that actually they can trust you, that it's true, that other people like them have seen you. Don't put photo stock. Please don't put photo stock. Don't put like feature attributes on the website. If you're going to have links which will show trust and proof of life that people have used, have it just click to their page. Have it click to them saying something awesome about you. And like on that site, you got my score on it. So. Comments. Anybody got any questions?
No, they were just worried about the debt.
Yeah, don't be worried. It's just me, just little old me back again. If anybody has a question that they want to put in here, put it in now, please. And if not, I'm going to move on to the next piece. But hopefully you do have a question or two, because this stuff is super real, super important. And I swear to you, it's not like 5% of sites that I see like this. It's like 80%. It's almost everyone. I have seen one wonderful website in the last like 4 months. It wasn't even one of our companies, which is really sad. But it was wonderful. Nothing, Ash? Okay, fine. I'm going to move through to point number 2, which is a totally different company. Actually, no. I'll stick with Contra Yuda, because we went down a really interesting path afterwards, because we looked at the companies that they have. They have 150 companies, and they're doing amazing, but the revenue is like $7,000 to $10,000 a month. So we're like, okay, 150 companies, revenue of $10,000 a month. We know we need to get up to $200,000 a month. We know that to get to there, it's going to take like 3,000 companies, right? Maybe 4,000 companies, like a lot of companies to get there. And to go from 150 companies to 4,000 companies is a lot. And so when you're working out, can I get investment? Remember, the only thing that the investors are looking at is how long is it going to take you to get your Series A? That's all. That's all that matters. If you're going to take, a long time, or you don't know, then nobody should give you investment, period. They shouldn't give you investment. It would be like a bank saying to someone, hey, here's what we're going to happen is, I'm going to give you a certain percentage rate over the base rate, but I don't know what that will be, and I don't know when I'm going to pay it to you. But I have a pretty good feeling it's going to be a good rate. Like, you wouldn't do that, right? Or gold or crypto or anything, right? You wouldn't do that. So why would an investor do it with you? So the more specific that you can be, with probability baked into it about what you need to do to get there, the better. So we started off looking at, okay, 150, companies, and this is how many people we have to outreach to, and this is how many meetings we have on it, and this is the onboarding for the meetings, and this is the friction to being able to get it through to a demo. And so everything is about, look, if we have to go from 150 companies to 4,000 companies, we need to get rid of a lot of the manual in there. Like, it can't just be some stupid fucking dumb, just putting a number on a projection. Like, it's not fair, because it's not true. It's not fair to your investors. It's not fair to your team members. Honestly, it's not even fair to your family, because it's not thought through. It has to be mathematically based. And so the more we looked at it, the more we're like, okay, but the onboarding needs to be shaved down, because we literally don't have enough people to do the onboarding. And then we looked at it and we're like, hang on a second, all these people are getting all this value. Shouldn't we be charging more money? So then we started looking at the charging more money. That's the beautiful thing about building lovable product. Lovable product starts off with what the customers are telling you through what they're spending. Then it moves to what they're telling you through the feedback that you're getting. And then it moves to what they're telling you by you stretching them. And you've been like, hey, we're not going to charge you $5 a month anymore. How about if we charged you 50? And everybody's like, no, that's the worst. But you're like, okay, but hang on. Let's not compare it to the 5, because that's not fair. That's like comparing like what I earned when I was 12 years old with what I earned when I was 20. Like, they're different people. This was a kid. I'm not a kid now. Like, I'm an adult. And actually my productivity should be measured against this productivity, not against what this person got paid. So you need to look, when you're building this math equation for yourself, you need to look at what your math equation looks like today, how much outreach you're doing, what optimization do you have, how is that turning into revenue and sales, and you need to look at like, how does that track forward to the future as well. It's just math. It's super easy, right? And then as the math isn't moving in the direction that you want it to, or more in the direction that you want it to, that's when you feed back to other folks. And you're like, okay, cool, we're going to change it. We're going to move it. But you're always on top of that. You never, ever, ever put yourself in a place where you can't look back and say, I actually had a company this week where it was like, oh, we were showing projections and their January and February projections were wrong because they were what they put in place last September and they hadn't changed it in the projections. Shame on them. It's those kind of rookie mistakes that investors are just like, yeah, okay. Most people are just looking for a reason. So think about what I said at the very beginning. Most people expect you to lie. Most projections are lying. One of my favorite quirky investors is a fellow called Jeffrey DeLassio, and he's a really, really nice guy. He only invested in us first, so he has to be a nice guy. And he always says, like, he's invested in over 130, 140 companies, and every single projection he's ever seen in his whole life has been a lie. Every one, not a miscalculation, because nobody does projections based on how you feel. You do projections based on what you want investors to believe that you're going to achieve. And hey, presto, here's what's happened. Nobody believes you. Everybody assumes you're going to lie. That projection that I was speaking about was out by 70% from last September to January, February, 70%. I was mortified. He was mortified. Like, right? And you don't want to be there. So look, I want to pause again for questions because we've now moved from optimization and conversion and we've moved back into outreach, which is an area that I really love because the outreach is tied into the mathematical formula that is required for the strategy that sits inside the outreach that actually mathematically takes you to the end. If you don't have that, you don't have a plan. And if you don't have a plan, you should not be going out to the market looking for investment. So, okay, I've covered 2 topics so far this morning, and I'm going to cover a third. I'm going to go through Jack's deck. But before I do, again, I'm going to pause for questions. And again, I want these sessions not to be some kind of like nice infomercial where like you're like, oh, that was cool. We got some really good things from Brian this morning. Are the opposite. Like I want it to be, this is your hours. If there's 80, 100 people watching this on multiple different places, then that's like 80 hours of time that I'm wasting. Like it has to be giving you an impact. If you truly subscribe to what I just said there, the last piece, which is that this is a mathematical formula, which is time limited and actually speed limited, and it is time feared. So we know that time is our greatest enemy. It is the thing to be most afraid of. We know that every single minute of every single day is part of that formula that I just gave you. How much do you outreach? Who do you outreach to? How many demos do you get? How many meetings do you do? How much friction do you have on the onboarding of these new customers? How do you then make sure these new customers are put into a most automated process so you can make sure that the engine is working on automation? Like, what does the math formula look like? You have to plan. So if you truly subscribe to that, you'd be like, well, part of this 1 hour that I'm spending with Brian is part of that equation. It's necessary. And it's either necessary to improve my messaging or my conversion, or it's necessary for my planning or for something else. So if that's the case, you should have questions. Okay, so I shall wait. We should have like hold music or elevator music or or something. Anything at all. You got anything, Ash?
Looking at it.
You guys are quiet today.
Yeah.
You guys are quiet. I need to know you're alive. I can't go to the next piece. And Jack wants me to go to the next piece because he's like, come on, give me something. I need to know you're alive. Otherwise, it would be like a really uncomfortable silence for ages. And it can be anything, right? You can be asking about the, you can be, good morning. You can be, you're all right. You can be asking about anything at all. It doesn't matter. Like you can be asking about the messaging. The messaging I just went through there is like groundbreaking stuff. because you want to resonate better and convert better with your customers, right? The outreach, the strategy, anything. All right. I'm very, very, very tempted. If it wasn't for Jack's piece, look, okay, I'm going to make a rule for next week. I won't do it for this week, but I'm going to make it for next week, okay? If there's nobody engaging, and you may say to me that you can't engage because of something, I'm not sure what it is, but I need you to. I need it to be a two-way thing. If it's not a two-way thing, I feel unloved and uncared for, and that would be very sad. So here's what I'm going to say. For next week, I'm going to do this for Jack, but for next week, if I don't get engagement, then after the first piece, we'll just cut the call, because what it's saying to me is it's not adding the value that you guys needed to add, okay? So this week is fine. Don't worry about it. But next week, even if you write in there and say, I disagree, I want that. Even if you write in there and say that's useless, I want that as well. Even if you say, I'm leaving because it's not good, I want that too. Whatever it is, I need it. Okay. So in this case, I will run through with Jack. Now, again, I can't see, but are you able to see if Jack's there?
The deck.
No, if Jack is there. Can you see who's there? Who's attending?
No, but you want to invite Jack on?
No. Yeah, can you invite Jack?
Yeah, so you need to share the link with Jack so that he can enter the studio.
Okay. How do I share it with Jack? Oh, I see. I need to share it beforehand. Okay. Jack, I don't need Jack here, actually. I'm going to, rather than go looking around for the link now, I am, actually, I see it. I've got it.
You see it?
Yeah. Here's what I'm going to do. I am going to, let's see if I've got Jack in here. Now that I've worked this, and for future people coming through, what I'm going to do is I'll invite people beforehand. Actually, you know what? I'm not going to invite Jack on here, because Jack doesn't need to be here. Jack just needs to watch here and he needs to listen. So here's what I'm going to do. I am going to share screen again. I'm going to bring you up on the seed deck. This is not one of the companies that we have invested in yet, but it is somebody that I like a lot. And so he asked me last week if we could just run through the deck and give it a little bit of an overview. I will say to you, before I start with this deck, and I start with the executive summary that goes with the deck, I just want to say the same rules that I just said for the website apply to decks. The things that makes me the saddest is that people always have way more questions about decks, because nobody's customer focused. Everybody thinks they're customer focused, but everybody's just trying to raise money all the time. And like, if you said, if I did a session tomorrow, which is, how to get closer with your customers over at Expert Dojo, and we invited our entire database, which is hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people, then, well, it's thousands of people, but hundreds of people would turn up, then we might have like 20, 30 people here. If I did another session the following day, which said guaranteed to raise money, we would have 2,000 people here. And I think it's like the saddest thing in the world, because everybody's focused on the bullshit of engaging with investors. Well, what they don't realize is the presentation deck that you have for your customers, the most important one. The website that you have with your customers, the most important one. The banners that you have at your conference are the most important ones. Like, these are the messaging that you want to get out there. The domain leadership expertise that you are doing, whether it's me on calls like this or other things, is the most important. Because the term investor is not some person who has that as a job, with the exception of about 2% of them. The vast majority of other investors are customers, clients, partners, affiliates, people you know, people who live next door to you, your wife, your husband, your mom, your dad. Like, they're all those people that need to believe, but they don't believe to anything else. What have we got? Oh, good. Okay, cool. Thank you, Sarav. Okay, so we're going to do, here's what I'll do. Outreach, you can take it back, that's fine. Thank you. Here's what we're going to do. Thank you, Sarav. First of all, there's a world out there. That makes me happy. What I'm going to do is next week, so I don't rush it, I'm going to do outreach strategies, okay? I'll put it top of my list to go through next week, and I will bring some doozy stuff. I actually think I might even start with one of my favorite people, Dustin Luther, and talk about domain expertise as an outreach strategy. Believe it or not, it's probably the best one there is out there. But I'll go through loads of them next week. I will do nothing else next week except go through this. And that will give me like 20 minutes or so to go through this deck, which even though I'm ranting about like how much I struggle with the fact that there's so much emphasis on decks, I also understand it's a really important part of it. So I'll go through the deck here. After the next week, I know then to go through outreach strategies, and then you make sure you join us next week. So as I'm going through the outreach strategies, we can make it super engaging. Okay, sounds good? Okay, so first of all, think of all of the steps that I said previously on the website. The reason why I'm saying to you is make sure it looks really cool at the start. Make sure there's a really good like one-liner that punches me in the face. Only for accountants who hate accounting. It's okay. Okay, you got me. Why am I doing that? It's because when I look at your website, any of your websites, I have signed a contract with you, an unwritten contract. And that contract is that I am going to give you 3 seconds of my time. I'm not giving you 15 seconds. I'm definitely not giving you 30 minutes or an hour for all those tabs that you have on the top of your website. I am giving you 3 seconds. That is less than the attention span of a goldfish. And that's what you have from me. Now, the average time for an investor to read a deck is 45 seconds. That is the average time. So within that time, and you have to assume that they are 10 to 12 slides in each deck, which means you're looking at approximately 13 to 14 seconds. Sorry, 3 to 4 seconds. Is that right? Yeah, pretty much for each slide. Damn, that's nothing, right? So if it's 3 to 4 seconds for each slide, where that is 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So I have stopped reading this deck by this stage, right? Because the problem with 45 seconds as an average is that it's the average. That means some decks, I would say 70% of my decks get less than 10 seconds. Because I can tell everything I need within less than 10 seconds. I can tell, remember, as an investor, what's the only thing that I'm looking for? How long it's going to take you to get to Series A. So, does this tell me that? No. Does this tell me that? No. Does this tell me that? No. Feature, feature, feature. Bum, 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 bum. Feature. Why do we use blockchain? Honestly, if you have to explain that, you pitch into the wrong person. Applicable evolution, feature. Well, I suppose description of feature. Why now? More foreclosures. It's okay. Just remember, most investors don't care one hoot about what you do. They don't care one hoot about the entire market. The vast majority of investors are generalist investors. I do want to talk about blockchain though. Okay, let's have a look here. Good domain expertise. I like this. 20 years of experience off-market real estate with enough impact to cause law to be written. I think you could write that better. I think that might come off a tiny bit arrogant without showing the substance. You want to show the substance that's in there. So, for example, like what have you actually done? Right? Did you exit a company? Did you do $3 billion worth of real estate? Like, impress me. Telling me like enough impact to cause law to be written, it's too fluffy, it's too out there. Let's look at Ilya, built a platform like Ruby on Rails, system architect for 1 inch, master's degree in applied physics and mathematics. Badass. I like these founders so far. Jack changes his bio a little bit, but the Ilya is top class. Let's look at Alex, 25 years experience in startups and technology, 2 exits, MIT, Duke, and graduate. So this is a great team. 40 years experience in finance, 25 years experience in technology, graduated from Yale. So you have a Yale person here, you have a Duke and an MIT person here. You have a like craziest smart person in the world, obviously, like, come on, applied physics and mathematics from Moscow University. And then you got old Jack here who's sitting here with 20 years of experience in real estate. So we have experience on all levels. Where, first of all, this slide should be far prettier. Right? I know you've got your LinkedIn profile here. I know you're trying to be helpful, but like put logos for the universities. Show us that. Put numbers in here for what's been achieved. If you've got 2 exits, like what were the exits? How much did you get if they were good? Okay. And sorry, everybody can see this, right? Okay, cool. Oh, I like Restream. Okay.
Are you like sharing the screen?
Oh, I am sharing the screen.
Nobody can see the screen for some reason.
Nobody can see it? Can somebody just respond back in chat if nobody can see the screen?
I cannot see it because I'm watching here.
Sorry, guys and gals, I am wasting your time here if that's the case. Sharing this tab to Studio Restream. Can somebody just write back to Ash in messaging, please? I just, if nobody's written in there, it might just be you. Because this would be a shame if nobody could see it. Means no.
I'm watching my LinkedIn, so I can't see it.
You can't see it? Okay. So we found us a little glitch in Restream. But maybe what some of the other people outside LinkedIn can see it. Maybe people in the growth community can see it. It's sharing.
It's just sharing?
Yeah. Stop sharing.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, guys, if you can't see this. And again, respond back to us in Restream if you can't. Okay, I was watching. Okay, so James has written in private chat to say, I was watching the live stream, yet I couldn't chat or see the screen share. I can't see the deck. Okay, so James has written and said he can't see the deck. Sorry, buddy. Okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to find out. I'm going to save Jack. I'm going to do stop sharing. And I'm just going to give some general overview on decks. Apologies, James. I don't know what the friggin' hell is wrong with this thing, but we'll find out, okay? And I'll make sure we do a test. Obviously, it works with normal tabs and it doesn't work with Google Sheets for some reason. But we'll find out. And then next week, I'm going to do 2 things in that case. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to give a general overview of how you should position your deck, okay, which kind of speaks to the deck that's here. And then next week, we're going to come back into the deck that's here, and you'll see a real life example. And then I want to talk about some of the outreach tactics that you can use to be able to get out to more customers as well, because now we'll have a little bit of time for that. So the deck that I was going through that nobody could see was like 15, 20 slides, and the deck was like 8 slides of just features. That's all. It was just like feature, 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 feature. Maybe, if you had a blockchain enthusiast, then you'd be like rocking and rolling. But even if that's the case, you're not selling to an investor, you're selling to an enthusiast, and that's never a good thing. An investor only cares about one thing. And actually, I was speaking with one of our companies this morning over in Singapore, who I think will be one of the fastest growing companies in the US this year, actually. And I was talking to them about like how I see the market for investors. And I see the market breaking into 2 ways. And don't worry, everybody, I'm not sharing anything right now. I'm just like, it's just me speaking. And so the first way is general venture. And for general venture, if this was 2 years ago, I would have said, really incorporate your story into what you're doing. Make sure that investors can really see and feel and understand the purpose and the why and the mission behind what makes what you have special. Let them see why the world really needs what you have. Okay, good man. Thanks, James. And so why the world really needs what you have. And this year, I'm not saying any of that crap. It's not relevant. They don't care. Nobody cares anymore. You got to understand 50% of the funds are underwater. They're underwater because they've invested in companies that the valuations come down. I kind of mentioned this last week, but like I got offered a company to invest in that had raised $40 million previously. 40. And the new valuation for that company today is $3.9 million. That company, by the way, is doing revenue of $1.7 million. And so on one side of it, you could argue and say, that's not very good for $40 million. But on the other side of it, you could say, whoa, only just under $4 million valuation for a $1.7 million revenue. Are you kidding me? That's crazy. How can you possibly be getting that kind of valuation? Because that's the market we're in. Because so many people have invested in so many shitty, stupid companies that had no basic underlying customer value that those companies are falling through the floor. By the way, this isn't one of them. It was just badly priced before, and they didn't get the growth loop in place. I think this is a great company, this one here. We'll probably put in at that valuation. But like, that's not the same as what we're seeing around the rest of the place. So most of the other ones are that. And so you have to look at that as the context that you're selling to investors. Investors have lost money. Investors are 30 to 50% down. And by the way, this is non-crypto and blockchain. I'm separating the market into two areas: crypto and blockchain, non-crypto and blockchain, because they're very different things, right? The non-crypto and blockchain are all this. Everybody's terrified. Everybody's losing money. Nobody knows what to do, and nobody wants to even tell their LPs. I have funds telling founders not to kill a deal yet, because they don't want to have to officially show it on their AUM that deal has gone all the way down. They want to keep it so it's artificially inflated so that they can raise more money and they can make up for the fact that their companies have gone to crap. Whose fault is it? Nobody's fault. It's the market. It's what happened. It's where we are. It's something that we have to react to and get better from in the future. So, okay, now that we're here, what does that mean, Brian? It means, for the love of God, don't do 8 slides telling me about boring, stupid features that nobody cares about. We would be doing a demo. Actually, and here's what I'd like you to do. You want to see a perfect pitch deck? We are going to have our demo day, not the one tomorrow, because I think they won't have time to have those decks ready, but the one for next month that they will have time for it. We've told our founders to do 7 slides. Slide number 1 can be the name of your company. It's okay. They should know the name of your company. If you want, you can put a cutesy line there or a cutesy something there just to say that you're alive. No problem. Slide number 2 is your traction in a very clear and defined way as a percentage of the previous month and year's traction, going back and going forward. Are you growing at 200%? Yes or no? Is it from a reasonable base or a silly base of like $1,000 a month? It doesn't count. Okay. If you're growing at 500% or 1,000%, it doesn't really count. It starts counting when you hit $10,000, $20,000 a month in revenue. That's when it counts. Or if you're at 100,000 users, that's when it starts really counting. Right? So you start there and then you start pushing yourself up. So that slide 2, think about what I've just said here. I haven't even got to your problem solution slide. And I'm telling my founders that slide number 2, if they want to attend our demo day, is going to be a traction and trajectory slide, not hidden in some BS like metrics and everything else. I want to see percentage growth going back, percentage growth going forward. Why is that? Because we tell all of our investors, look, boys and girls, we know the rules here. The rules are 200% growth year on year equals a unicorn, period, as long as the market size is big enough. So the only things in that metric says, what have we learned from the growth before? What do we know about the execution of the team? What do we know about the market size? In many ways, nothing else really matters. So that's slide 2. Slide 3 is the product. You can talk a little bit about the product, but that's it. You only get 1 slide to talk about the product. We just want to know, is it valuable? Why is it valuable? Who says it's valuable? Do you say it's valuable? And don't you dare mention a feature when you're going through that. Slide number 4 is the team, because the execution is super important. So now look, anyone who knows me, they know that I live my life being conflicted, right? I have no biases, none. I don't have biases towards people who went to an amazing school. I don't have biases towards people who went to no school, right? I only have one bias, and that's a bias towards or against execution. That's it, right? And I spent most of my life conflicted because on one side of it, I want to make sure that like we're extremely fair to execution power rather than execution privilege, right? On the other side, I know that like I went to a nice school in Dublin, so I got an extra bit of privilege, didn't I? Didn't I get like a leg up against some person who didn't get that and I didn't deserve that leg up. I was just lucky. I was born into a nice family and I got into a nice place. But that doesn't mean that it's fair, and it doesn't mean that other person shouldn't get a chance to go through. But I know that because of what I was given, it gave me a leg up. So within the dojo, we try and help other people like augment those skill sets that they may not have got, but only if they have the execution power. So in this slide, you got to show you have the execution power. If you've had the leg ups, like you went to a nice university, you worked in a nice company, you had an exit before. You have to put those there. You can't be ashamed of those things. They're amazing things, and they're going to showcase you in a better way. If you don't have those things, you got to replace it with other cool things that are super important. You have to. So now it's on the team. What comes next? What do you think will come next if it's me? Yeah, market size. That's it. That's what I want to see, market size. So you see, I don't care about your features. Nobody cares about your features. That's for the next deck. Your contract with me as an investor is the same contract that you have with the people looking at your website. It's just not 3 seconds, it's 45 seconds. But within 45 seconds, you only thing you want to do, you're not trying to get me to marry you. You're just trying to get me to go for a second date. That's it. But it's a better date. It's a longer date. It's because I'm now interested in you. Okay, the first one, and it's still not dinner, it's just Starbucks, but it's not standing in an elevator. This one here, this first deck that you're presenting to someone who has never met you before, is standing in an elevator. That's all it is. Hey, my name is Brian. I got to tell you something. It's like the craziest thing in the entire world. I got this company and it's called like Brian and Co. But here's what we did. Crazy. We launched 2 years ago. We've been growing at 500% growth every single year. We cannot even keep stock in place. This coming year, we're going to grow. Yeah, it's true. We went from $0 to $100,000 in only a year and a half per month. We're going to go from $100,000 to $500,000 a month within the next 18 months. We're probably going to raise $10 million when we get to that stage. But you're probably thinking to yourself, what the hell is this product that's doing all that kind of stuff? Well, here's what we do. They're like a technology that we build into a widget that it turned out that all these factories needed that none of them had. And the market size is off the charts. We can get this up to $10 million a month just working inside the US factories that are there. And here's the gas thing, right? And even though I've just switched these 2 slides around by mistake, they still work, right? Here's the really funny thing. The team, just serendipitously, couldn't be better. Worked in one of the largest manufacturing plants in the world for 15 years. I have lived this damn problem every single day. My colleague has been in finance since she has been in little underpants at the age of 5 years old. That's how good we are. Exits, 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 belief, 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 belief. But now I'm going to get to the piece, which is the only piece that you really care about, which is us getting to a Series A, because you're not worried and you can't control me becoming a unicorn. You can only control me getting to Series A, which is the next round. And I know your question, Mr. and Mrs. Investor. Your question is, how long is it going to take, Brian? Because I want my assets under management, which is you, I want it to grow quicker than this nice little cybersecurity company that I saw the other day that are currently on $100,000 a month in revenue, and they're going to get to $400,000 a month in 4 months, which is when they're going to get their Series A. So my $1 million that I invested at $10 million is going to turn into $4 million of implied value as their valuation goes up to $40 million. So I don't care about your widgets. I don't care about your features. I don't care about you. I don't care about your family. I don't even care about the impact on the world at this stage. I care about, are you going to get to Series A within a reasonable amount of time with that other founder? Because I like that person, but I also like you. So the final slide is going to be how long it's going to take you to get to Series A and the assumptions built there within. I'm serious. The stuff I'm telling you is gold, because this is how investors are thinking today. You can spend hours going through your features and everything else that you have there, but this is gold. This is the stuff that will help you build a unicorn and get investors to invest into you. What's that, 6 or 7 slides? And if you were thinking of putting a thank you slide at the end, then slap your wrist. Why would you not leave? If you know that the slide that's going to stay there for the Q&A the longest is going to be the one which is how you're going to get to a Series A, why would you get rid of it for some bullshit thank you slide? Right? That's all I got for you on decks. That's all I got for you. I've seen 1,000 decks and they all pretty much do the same stuff and go through the same details. If there's any questions on decks, please ask. I will actually, I'm going to do the outreach next week. I will finish today though with kind of a really important thing. So I mentioned non-crypto. If you're in crypto, people do really care about the technology because it's some of the greatest technological advances. I still believe that, everybody who, I don't know. I don't know anything either. Look, let's set the base. I know nothing. Most other investors know nothing. Most people know nothing. Okay, so I'm setting the base at that. So most people who know absolutely zero feel that AI is going to be the greatest thing in the world, and they're all investing in AI. And every bullshit company that has no AI is putting AI at the end of their name, and that they're trying to raise money, right? And I think it's a total waste of time, and I think it's another hype, right? Me, who also knows nothing, I believe that blockchain is going to be, blockchain and the technologies that surround it within DeFi is singly going to be the most impactful technology of our lifetimes. And I think AI is going to build into it, and it's going to be like a little brother helping the DeFi movement get to the next level. I think it's fundamentally mind-blowing. It is not fundamentally mind-blowing to me that I have a fucking like assistant doing bullshit jobs for me that I could do myself. I see it the same as like email. That email didn't make my life easier. Email made my life hell, right? I'm more productive. Thank you, email. So is the other 5 billion people in the fucking world who are emailing me 300 times a day. Okay? I might even argue this with the telephone as well, but I won't. But I think blockchain will change the direction. It will allow us to like decentralize from central authority. And I love that because it's like a revolution, right? It's a proper power going forward. And so within blockchain and crypto, there's a real excitement there right now. And you can tell the story. But the investors in that place, it's different. They're not coming from a place of fear. They're coming from a place of absolute greed. It's a beautiful place of greed. It's a place of aligned greed. Even my kid is buying altcoins for the love of God. And you know what? I'm encouraging him to buy altcoins because why not? He's not putting up, well, actually, he is putting all of his money in there. He doesn't have very much money, so it's okay. He should understand this. He should discover this. This is the way the future is going to be. It is not about repression anymore. It's about anybody being able to invest in the things that they love, not just rando stocks that they haven't heard anything about. So I love the movement where it's going. But because of that, the principle is kind of the same for your deck. The company I was speaking to, putting genuine, I think like greatest company, period, like ever. I'm not going to mention who they are because it wouldn't be fair, but like I think they're going to do incredible. And they will build out this white paper and this long deck and this everything. And I will spend all my time moving them away from that. I will spend all my time on what I will tell them. They're doing like roll up as a service. And I think roll up as a service is like one of the most exciting things happening in the space right now. And they're going to build one of the greatest automations that's going to be there. So it's huge, 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 huge. So my job is to make sure that I simplify their messaging so they don't bore all of those people who could otherwise be making a ton of money out of their token. Okay? That's all I got for you. Hopefully this is useful. What did we go through today? We went through emotional engine optimization, emotional resonance. We also went through making sure that you tie your strategy and your plan to an end point. I always say, look, you can do 3 and 5 year plans if you want. My end point is almost always a Series A because that's all I want as an investor. If you take me to Series A, you have taken me to paradise because my valuation has increased, my AUM has increased, my limited partner is happier. And more importantly, I know that somebody's just put like 5 or 10 million bucks into you, so they have a lot more to lose, which means they are going to try really hard to get you to Series B, which is their job. Okay, so it's super exciting times in that area. And finally, we looked at the deck, which I did a sucky job of being able to do, but we're going to do a less sucky job next week, and I'm going to show you the actual deck. But I gave you the fundamental principles, which I think I did not do a sucky job on. And now you know, Brian, I actually have a 15-slide deck that talks about nothing else other than features and benefits. Now you got something to do. So in this last minute, I say to you, go build out a proper plan which ties into end points and activities and outcomes that specifically align with the end point that you're going after. Build an emotional resonance with the customers and the future customers that you are trying to engage with so that they do not hate your guts. Or more importantly, actually, no, hate is a good thing. Hate involves feeling. The stuff that I showed you earlier on today, there's no feeling there. What's worse than hate? Apathy, not caring, not even noticing that you ever existed. That's what you want to get away from. And finally, build a deck that speaks to what investors are looking for right now, so you can actually raise some damn money based on the fact that you're doing something amazing in the first place. That's all I got for you. Okay, my friends, I hope this was useful to you. Be louder next week, please. I'm sure a bunch of you are probably going to tell me you couldn't get in or something. So we'll keep working on this technology. Like I said, I like Restream. We're going to try and make it work. I hate the fact that I can't see any of you, so I don't really know what you're thinking or saying. But we'll work it out, and we'll get it better, and we'll get more people involved, and we'll get more chatter involved in here, so that we can build a more engaged community. Okay, go out there and sell some stuff, get some investment. Did you want me to say something before I left or no?
Yeah, for all the next upcoming sessions, they can go to our growth community, find, and then they're telling us about.
Yeah, so if you want to make sure that you don't miss this, go into our growth community. Growth community is on the Expert Dojo website. It just says join growth community. It's right on the landing page, super easy. That will bring you in the community. On the page, there's like Dojo Live. On the bottom of it, there is a calendar. So you can put this in a calendar so you remember to do it next week. Because I think a lot of folks as well are kind of like, well, when is it? When's it going to happen? So now you know, okay? Nice and easy for you all. Okay. Thank you, Ash, for watching everything. Thank you, everybody, for being here. We will continue.